everybody. Welcome back to the Elyse DeLucci Show. I'm your host, Elyse. Welcome to my living room on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, broadcasting live as usual. So today, episode 15, we're talking about tips for budgeting your money. Toxic relationships. Are you in one? Have you been in one? And wait, this is actually my favorite thing that we're talking about. This year, money is tight for a lot of people, and obviously it's the holidays coming up. So we're talking about free or costing very little money holiday gift ideas. And I love that. Anyway, so take a sip of your drink, stay tuned, and talk to me, Elyse. Okay, fact of the day. You're never going to believe this. When I heard this, I was like, this can't be true. Okay, everybody knows and loves ketchup, right? Well, you know, ketchup used in the early 1800s, ketchup wasn't ketchup. It wasn't a condiment. It was medicine. Can you imagine that? It literally... People thought that ketchup can cure diarrhea, indigestion, and other digestive issues. And it wasn't really until 1870 that Heinz bottled this all up and thought it would be better as a condiment. Isn't that hilarious? And by the way, ketchup to cure indigestion, like sometimes the acidity in ketchup bothers people, you know? But they had it in pill form. They had ketchup in pill form. Can you imagine? Can you imagine one day someone being like, you know, I think aspirin would taste better as a condiment. That's essentially what happened. Anyway, that's a fact. So how are you? How was your week? Election, big week, no matter which way you swing. I think that at least here in Manhattan, no matter which way you swing in Manhattan, people were happy. They were happy. They were bright. They were walking around. And you know what? I have to say, while it doesn't matter which side you go on, because sometimes if I'm posting something on Instagram or TikTok, people are saying, oh, you think this or oh, you think that. And please, I'm not doing politics. I'm just not. But what I will say is that it is nice to see everybody just walking around at least here in this city, in a better mood, because everybody was just freaking depressed. And and that obviously was the election stuff, the nervousness of the election, but it's also obviously COVID and then all this other nonsense that's gone on in the worst year ever, 2020. So that was a big weekend for all of us, right? But you want to know what? Let me tell you something. I actually also had an extra big weekend, okay? Because my boyfriend is a creature of habit, and he likes to do the same things and try the same thing. Well, he doesn't try anything, I should say. He likes to do the same things, eat the same thing. So this weekend I said, baby, we are branching out. We're branching out. I said, you are going to try a new cuisine. So I gave him an option. I said, Japanese. He's never, if you could believe this, he's a New Yorker living in Manhattan. He's never had Japanese. Thai food. I told him we could try udon, also Japanese, like noodles. Or I said Indian. He's never had Indian. He's not an adventurous eater. I don't even know if that counts as adventurous. All these things are like normal, right? But anyway, we went to a Thai restaurant. That's what he picked. I said, okay, Thai food is similar-ish to some things that you like in the Chinese cuisine. Like he likes Chinese fried rice. Obviously, in Thai cuisine, they have fried rice. So I said, you might like this the best. What am I going to do? Take him to India and have him get like garam masala or something? Guy will die, he'll die. He has never had that kind of flavor profile before. He doesn't know how delicious it is. But anyway, so we went to a Thai restaurant. I had pad see ew, which I normally get. I always think that's such a funny name, but it's broad noodles. If you never had it, try it. It's pad Thai is the one with the peanut sauce, as obviously you know that with the glass noodles, but pad see ew, I feel like isn't as common. It's just like broad noodles. It almost looks like a pappardelle macaroni sort of noodle. Pasta, I should say. More mainstream, us Italian people from New York, sometimes we call pasta macaroni, no matter the shape. But anyway, so I got pad see ew. He had some, Thai fried rice. He liked it. He branched out. I was so happy. I was really so happy. And I and it sounds so silly, like, oh, we went to a Thai restaurant. But for this guy to go to have something different, I'm telling you, it's a big deal. That's a good thing and a bad thing, guys that don't like, change. But anyway, okay, so obviously it's the holidays coming up. Last week I did a holiday recipe, corn casserole. I decided from now until the end of the holiday season, I'm going to be doing a holiday recipe on every podcast. So maybe we'll have like 4 or 5, I don't know, holiday recipes, depending on how many podcasts come out between now and then. But so this recipe, let me tell you where I got this recipe. This is a soup recipe. Okay, let me tell you. I was talking to my grandmother a few years ago. Hi, Nani. She doesn't listen to podcasts, but hi. And she said to me, Elyse, if you're ever having a dinner party, you know what's an easy, nice kind of appetizer to serve? And I said, what? And she said, if you want to have a little first course, and she said you could just get some chicken broth and bring it to a boil and put some tortellini in there, like frozen tortellini. And you just serve it with a little bit of like black pepper and grated cheese on the table. She said it makes such a nice first course if you're having that kind of dinner party. And I actually never done that before, but it always stuck with me because it is so easy. It's such an easy thing, right? But anyway, I made kind of a version of that this weekend, although not the holidays. It was a tortellini soup with spinach. And it was really good, and it was so easy to make. One of my friend's mothers told me about this. She makes it a lot. It's sort of cheap and easy and quick, and you could get dinner on the table and serve it with nice bread. But then I thought, you know what? Kind of like with this, my friend's mother giving me this recipe, plus with my grandmother's ideas of, if you have a holiday party, a dinner party, you could use this as a first course. I thought that this recipe could be nice, like on Thanksgiving, or if you're doing, a simple sort of Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, and you want to have something in the beginning, not break your back, cooking it. This is nice, tortellini soup with spinach. Let me tell you how I made it. So about a big, like a pot, stock pot. I use a 5-quart pot. A tablespoon of olive oil, about 8 ounces of bacon. You can also use pancetta. Pancetta is more classy, but all I had was bacon. A few cloves of garlic, sliced thin. A 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. About 8 cups of chicken broth. And I had 1 bag of cheese tortellini in my freezer. It was like a 10-ounce bag of frozen cheese tortellini. And I also had a bunch of fresh spinach. It wasn't actually a bunch. It was in one of those clear boxes things, in the produce. But I used the whole thing of that, and salt and pepper. So all I did was I took the pot, I put the oil in the pot, I added the pancetta with the bacon. I'm saying pancetta because I feel like that's probably the nicer thing to use if a holiday. But I added my bacon. What I did was I put my bacon in there. I sauteed it until it was crisp, about 5 minutes. Then I put the garlic in. I sauteed that until it was golden, another minute or 2. Then I put the can of tomatoes in. I cooked that for another, a couple minutes. Then I put the chicken broth in, okay? Brought the whole thing to a boil, and then dropped the tortellini in, cooked it for maybe, 3-5 minutes. And then once the tortellini kind of all floated to the top and they were sort of puffed up and I could tell that they were soft, of course, I poked a fork in there and I ate one, of course. I then put the spinach in, let it wilt a little bit, cooked it for a couple other minutes, and that was it. That's the whole soup. So I obviously, when we were all sitting at the table, I put it in bowls and I served it with some Parmesan cheese and black pepper. And it was delicious. Literally delicious. It's like a spinach tomato tortellini soup. But so easy. And I feel like it actually looks like it takes more work than it was because, nobody's thinking that you're putting a can of tomatoes in the soup, right? I don't know, a tortellini soup. Anyway, I totally recommend. If I was hosting Thanksgiving or something like that, that's something I could see myself making. I could have like a little cold antipasto when people come over. And then when everybody sits down, I want to just have something in front of them. And, maybe instead of a salad, do a little soup. I love that. Anyway, so, and by the way, I should say, Italian people sometimes serve like macaroni as the first course. Like they'll put like lasagna on the plate or baked ziti. And I'm all game for that. But my God, you're so full. Anyway. Okay, so one of my friends just got out of a relationship. I feel bad for her because she really loves this guy. She loves. Did I say loved? I don't even know. She loves him. She loved him in the relationship. She still loves him. But the relationship was toxic, and she knew it was toxic. And the thing with that, we were talking about is that it's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't. She's like, Elyse, she's like, she has no kids or whatever. And she wasn't married, but she's like, Elyse, I just really love him. We've been together for so many years. She's like, and there's obviously shitty things that are happening in the relationship as time goes on and da-da-da. And she's like, but I don't want to go out and try something new. I don't want to go find somebody new. And, what we wound up talking about was like, it's sort of, we all do this. It's like, do you stay in something that you know isn't maybe so great or has deteriorated or could be toxic, and that's the devil you do know? Or do you jump ship and do the devil you don't know, right? So she was doing the devil she does know, and she just said, fuck it, I love him, whatever. But the thing is that it was toxic. And the reason why it was toxic, it wasn't like insane toxicity, like it was violence and any sort of abuse like that, but it was like subtle. You know, that subtle shit that goes on. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so I feel like it's worth talking about. And like, look, let me just say, there's the huge toxic sign, flags, right? And those are like violence and abuse and like harassment. And the second listen, if you're in a relationship and that shit happens, if you're being abused, or there's some like violence going on, it's toxic. But then, like another big thing that we sometimes overlook is like, does your relationship stop making you happy? Like instead of like being happy to do something with your significant other on the weekend, do you all of a sudden, are you like angry and upset, maybe like anxious? How about this? Okay, do you feel like when you're hearing your friends talk about their husbands or boyfriends, like are you feeling like you're missing out? Like you almost feel envious, of their air quotes happy couples? I feel like that when you were so happy for a long time and then all of a sudden you just feel, well, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, over time you then feel like, sad and angry and anxious, that's a sign of toxic relationship. It's not like toxic, like it's not it's not making you healthy. It's affecting your health, your personality, your self-esteem, and that's like kind of like when you got to go to therapy, right? Some people, of course, I should say, by the way, you might hear beeping, it's because I'm blowing up, but some people will say, like, I'm in this relationship for, 12 years, and how am I not going to feel angry sometimes? Of course it's okay to feel angry, that's healthy. Of course it's okay to feel sad sometimes, but if it's all the time, doom and gloom, Anyway. Okay. But so, though, I feel like those are like a couple of the big things, right? But then there's these subtle things which happened to my girlfriend. And I'm just going to read you off a list. I have it written down in front of me. Read you off a list. Her and I put together a list of all the things that are kind of like what happens in a toxic relationship, according to us. So let me tell you. So, okay, here it is. It's a bunch of things, right? Are you feeling drained? A lack of trust? Is the atmosphere hostile? Are you being judged? Is he judging you, comparing you to other people? Do you feel like you're the one that's giving, like it's sort of all take and no give? Is he unreliable? Is he a narcissist? This is a big one. If the relationship is really only just sort of like a reflection of him or her, how could you ever have any kind of balance, Okay, so is it negative? We talked about, obviously, having a relationship that doesn't communicate. If there's disrespect, you avoid each other. It's control. There's a lot of control issues that go on. Drama that never ends. Challenges, like just constant challenges, though, because all relationships have challenges. But she, in her thing, she was like, it was always an issue. It was just always a challenge. It was always some hurdle to overcome. Okay, the other things we came up with are unworthiness, entrapment. Like, are you and your significant other, are you positive reinforcements for each other, or are you there in this relationship because like you don't see any way out, like entrapment? Are you being undermined? Are you always uncertain, envious? How about like victim? Like, is one you or him, one of you or her, playing the victim all the time? Dishonesty, unhappiness, no self-worth. So we put together this huge list when we were talking about this on just what we think are things that go on in a toxic relationship. And I just want to say that, like, look, a relationship, listen, we all are in relationships and they ebb and they flow and there's good times and there's bad times. And they say like, oh, stick it out and ride it out. But if you're going through a tough time, which is what I said to her, if you're going through a tough time and you went to therapy together and you can't figure out a way to work on it, or, you're both unwilling, or there's some things that people won't budge on, it might just be toxic. It doesn't have to be toxic from out of the gate. It could, like, grow into a toxic relationship, I feel like a lot of younger people are always so willing to like jump ship. They're like, this isn't working. Fuck it. I'm gonna go, find somebody new. I don't think that relationships obviously should be disposable like that, but like, come on. My girlfriend, I don't want to say what she was going through because, I don't want to air her dirty laundry, but it was a lot of those subtle list I just sort of rattled off. Like the narcissism, that was a big one. Always being compared. Like, I mean, come on. If your boyfriend is comparing you to his friends' girlfriends or wives all the time, like, how are you ever going to feel good about yourself, Anyway, so the signs of a toxic relationship, according to me, and my girlfriend. Okay, so I want to just say this year has been incredibly tough for so many of us. There are so many Americans not working. We all seeing the memes everywhere. 2020 is the craziest year ever. I read something recently that they say 2020 is the most difficult year in modern history that we've ever lived through. But one of the things, obviously, that sucks about 2020 is, when it's the holidays or birthdays, gift-giving times, you might not be in the money. And I think a lot of people this year are going to be struggling more than ever. They want to still, of course, they're going to still celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holidays you celebrate. And of course, they want to still get their family and friends and significant others presents, but they might not have, they might not be able to do the gifts they would normally do. They might not be able to walk in the gap, So, okay, so I put together a list of what I thought was so cute, a few really cute free presents you can give people in your family or your husband and your boyfriend. I love these ideas. I really do. And by the way, even if you're not like struggling, right? Like, or you're short of cash, like they're just nice things to do. Like they're just thoughtful. And those gifts sometimes go way further than picking up, scarf and a pair of socks from the Gap. Anyway, okay. A year's worth of outings. Number one, a year's worth of outings. Oh my God, I love this. So basically, you have your index cards, your paper, and you write down 12 free dates that you can do and put the month on it. June, picnic, July, put a blanket down, watch the stars. Like, corny, but cute, right? I think that's such a cute idea. And you just wrap it up in a little paper and give it to the person. Love that idea. A year's worth of dates. The second idea that I love is putting together a time capsule for the other person. I don't know, like when you were little. When I was little, me and my neighbor friends, my little friends on my block in Staten Island, we were like obsessed with time capsules. We thought we were going to make one. We put a bunch of shit in shoe boxes, like I don't even know, like troll dolls. Probably the ones with the jewels in it. We put in a shoebox and like buried it in one of our front lawns. I know none of those kids are listening to this podcast right now, but we really did bury it, and obviously the shoebox disintegrated, but it was a cute idea. But I love the idea of time capsules. And by the way, I'm watching this Oak Island like treasure hunt show on the History Channel lately, and so it's like has me on time capsules even more. But anyway, so you get a box, you get the lock or whatever tape, and basically you put all your memories from this past year or from the inception of your relationship. So like maybe a little piece of clothing or ticket items or a business card from restaurants you went to. And you basically, put on the top, like, don't open till this day. So maybe you put don't open till your anniversary or don't open it till next Christmas. And I just think it's so cute. I love this idea. And by the way, if you're doing this for your man, you got to be with somebody that appreciates it. Like, some men, they think that shit's corny, but I think it's cute. Anyway, okay. We see all the time, like, those mason jars, the putting the ingredients in the mason jars. I really like that idea. Like, if you have a big family and you want to get everybody a little something and, whatever, I think it's so cute to, like, put a hot chocolate mason jar, thing together and make independent labels. Like, you put the hot cocoa mixed powder and you put the marshmallows and, whatever else you put in there and jar it up. And I like that idea. And you can obviously do other ones like cookie recipe ones. I've seen them all on Pinterest, But I love that because you're giving people something. It's fun. They can really open it and use it. It's fun to put together for you. I love that. Okay. The next three things. There's three more things. And these, like, all three are my favorite. Okay. Like, and the next one, okay. This is why it's my favorite. Babysitting. Hello. Are you listening? Are you a grandma? or grandpa? Do you have grandkids or whoever? I don't know. Or how about, do you live in a neighborhood where there's lots of moms, and dads that want to have dates and you celebrate holidays with them? How about babysitting coupons? Oh my God. That's the best gift in the whole entire world, if you ask me. My mother calls me, what do you want for Christmas? What do I want for Christmas? I want you to babysit. That's right. Come to the city, pick up your grandkids, and babysit for the weekend so I can go party for one weekend. Not like that happen. Sometimes I get to do that. But that's when my daughters are with my ex, not when my mother's babysitting. I love that idea. That's my favorite. But the next two are so good. I should say babysitting, what is that my favorite? It's just the most practical. And it really does save you money. Okay. 2 things, next ones, they both involve food. Put together your own cookbook. I literally freaking love this. Like, I know somebody that did this. They went on the computer, Google Docs or Word, whatever. They wrote down all of their recipes. They made a point to, write them all down, keep track of all the things that they make. They took pictures of the food, put the picture on the page. They printed, like literally easy, printed it out, brought it to Staples, got it laminated and bound, and gave out cookbooks of their recipes, their family's recipes, to everybody in their extended family. And I thought that was just so cute. And how cute would it be if that was like a family gift? So say you have a big family and it's Christmas time and you all want to do something. Like, what if everybody just put together their best recipes and you just did like a book swap? Not everybody is going to make a cookbook, But I love it. Okay, the other one that's related to food, that this is my all-time favorite, is recipes from childhood. So how cool is this idea? Like, if you're a mom and you have maybe older kids or whatever, that there's those things that they love that you make. Maybe they're like, oh my God, Mom, can't you make our macaroni and cheese? I used to love when you make that, whatever. So basically, you write down all your recipes, everything that you've made your kids, or, the big things that you made the kids when they were young. Write them down, put them in a box, and give it to them. Literally, I love this. Like, my mom makes the best meatloaf. I'll share the recipe with you one day. And now I make it. But her meatloaf is so good. It's so good that every year for my birthday, she would ask me what I want for dinner. And I'd say the same thing, the Blue Plate Special. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and peas. I mean, not that sophisticated of a meal, but I loved it. And I think it would be so cute if she wrote down all of the recipes that she made me and my sisters, the family, throughout the years, and gave it to all of us. That's just something you could never, that's just a gift that you could never buy. Never buy. Because babysitting, you could pay a babysitter. But is anybody going to be able to give you the gift of the exact recipes of the meals your mom made? No. And by the way, if you want to be completely stealthy, go ask your mother-in-law, okay, for all of her recipes that she made for her son. Or if you have a long-term boyfriend, ask your boyfriend's mother. How cute. And then you start making him the food. Diamonds forever from him to you. I'll tell you that much. God. They always say that you can get the man through the stomach, I believe that. Anyway. Okay. So a few weeks ago, a college student wrote to me and she asked if I had any tips for budgeting money. I think this came off of, some post I did about ETFs and whatnot on TikTok. And I do. So I told her, I answered the question very basic in one of the Q&As at the end of the podcast, but I wanted to get into it a little more, plus share with you guys some budgeting apps that I like because, I don't know, we all need to budget, unless any of us listening to this are extremely wealthy or just wealthy, period. I need to budget. I'm sure you do too. So, okay, how I do it, and I think I said this when I answered the question, how I budget my money is, how I do my finances, I just have an Excel spreadsheet. It's very rudimentary. I use an app, but I also do this. I use an Excel spreadsheet. At the top of the Excel spreadsheet, I have the months of the year. On the left hand of the Excel spreadsheet, I have the bills. Con Edison, that in New York, if you don't know, that's the gas and electric, cable, Verizon, whatever. I have all those bills lined up in the left, on each individual row. I put in the monthly amount. I find the matching cell. June. Verizon, June. Whatever. That's what I do. And that's how and I do that every single month. And I also have my credit cards in there. So if I have Visa card, Visa card has its own row on that left side. And, it's good for me because if I'm seeing in June, I spent $30 on my Visa card, but then in September, I spent, $600 on my Visa card. What the F? Where did I go wrong? And I do go look back and look at the bills and all that stuff. That's not necessarily budgeting per se. It's really just me keeping track of all of my bills and my money and where it goes and that kind of stuff. And I recommend that. If you could just get yourself in the habit of, I think it's a very healthy habit. If you can get yourself in the habit when every month you sit down to pay your bills, you also open up an Excel spreadsheet and you're inputting these numbers into a document, because it's basically saying, you're basically saying, I'm not only paying my bills, which I need to do, I am also documenting this stuff, and you're getting into a healthy money habit. When I was younger, I didn't do this. I paid, I had all my stuff on direct debit, so, whatever. And by the way, some of that stuff I still do. And, or, I'd write a check, whatever, because I'm old enough to have remembered or paying bills when I had to write checks. But, I'd write the check to Verizon. I'd send it off, or maybe I did an online payment if that was existed then, whatever. But I wasn't keeping track of all this stuff month to month. I knew, well, my cell phone bill might be $80 this month. I know my rent might be $500 this month. $500 rent month in Manhattan. Hilarious. But anyway, I would do it kind of these things in my head. It got me nowhere. I was constantly broke. I mean, I'm probably still broke for all I know, but you know what I'm saying. Like I wasn't keeping track. I keep track now. So that would be that's my biggest tip on budgeting money. But I will say that if I didn't do this in my marriage, and I should have, we did money together, but it was, we should have been better at it, right? But I do think that if you're married, one of my girlfriends does this. Once a month, she sits down with her husband, and they have like a family budgeting money talk night. They like get pizza, they sit on the couch, they talk about, all the money, and basically they just talk about what they spent the most money on this month, what are their goals, hey, what do we have in our vacation fund, all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's really cute. I really like that once a month, like money night with your partner. But yeah, so I like that. So I do the Excel. I have a girlfriend that does this money night. And look, the general thing is when you're making a budget or you're trying to set some sort of financial plan for yourself, you have to just know every month is going to be different, right? Like some months, if you're a mother or have kids, whatever, some months you're buying back to school supplies. Some months you're buying Christmas gifts. Some months you're buying, you're paying for summer camp or whatever. So when you're budgeting, you always want to keep that miscellaneous line row in your Excel open or whatever, and pad it with however much you think, and obviously put a value against it. Okay, you're going to spend $200 on back to school clothing. Spend only $200. The most important categories first is another piece of advice I have. So I mean, obviously, what's the most important categories? I mean, it's your roof over your head, it's your food, it's your hot water, it's your transportation to work, your car payment. So you start with that, and then you sort of work up from there. So that's your foundational expenses. Obviously, paying off any debts. Look, this is really hard. I did recommend a book, the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover book. It's a money workbook. I can't recommend that enough because they really do give you tools on how to repay your debt. I mean, look, and at the end of the day, what you could pay your debt can be a line item, student debt or whatever you have. Credit card debt, it could be a line item in your monthly bills. It becomes a fixed expense. But if you don't have that goal of paying off that debt, if you don't pay that debt or try to pay it as fast as you can, how are you going to really get to the other goals, those bigger goals? Look, and it's like my fucking worst nightmare. Okay, to wake up one day at be 50 years old and have a whole pile of debt and, and know that like I'm getting older and more tired and I'm going to want to retire. So debt is like, oh God, that's just like so important to me. I have like insane debt anxiety. Oh God. And, the other thing is really the Excel. I mean, I can't talk enough about the Excel spreadsheet because the Excel spreadsheet basically just tracks your progress. You can look over it year over year and that's it. I also, one of the things that I do is I recommend using one credit card. one credit card. So I have multiple credit cards, okay? I have multiple credit cards. I keep those cards open. I keep them open because if I close them, then that affects your credit score. But I only really use one of them. Now, the one that I use, I'm okay to say it, American Express. Not all places take American Express, okay? So I will then have to use an alternative card if they don't take American Express. Or if your preferred card is Discover, whatever. Not a lot of places might not take that. So I probably will change. I probably will make my main card like Visa or something because that's, pretty much universally accepted. And by the way, Amex isn't accepted a lot of places abroad, I should say. But if you don't cut up your other cards, just use one card because it's so much easier to track your expenses. I also, oh my God, another thing I can tell is I do not use store credit cards. And let me say this. I am not a money expert. I've said this before on this podcast. I am just a girl from Staten Island that lives in Manhattan, that has a career and has some life experience and yada yada, and I'm just sharing my opinions with you. So you should talk to a financial advisor on if you really want to get in the weeds on this. But these are just my opinions that I have developed for myself, that I've learned over hard work and learned through the years. And I also talk to my friends and see what they do and all that kind of stuff. But okay, back to that. I do not use store credit cards. I don't give a fuck if you, Victoria's Secret, are giving me 50% off my entire offer. You are not getting my name and email, and you're not getting my information for a credit card. It is not happening. I do not do that because store credit cards have an insane interest rate on them. If you God forbid had to pay late or you were late on your payments, they also I just don't like them. I just don't like them. They don't have the perks that the other credit cards have. For example, if you have a credit card to Banana Republic and you have an American Express card, and say for some reason you're using your Banana Republic card, in the store or whatever, but then say at the end of the month you see a shady charge on there or something, and you call the credit card company, and are they going to really work tirelessly to try to help you figure out that expense that you might think was a fraudulent expense? No, I don't think so. Now, I'm not saying no across the board. Maybe some might. But now if you have an American Express that's known for its customer service, right? They will work tirelessly to help you on a fraudulent expense. So that stuff to me is really important. So I cannot, I applied for one credit card my entire life. It was a store in the mall. I was 19 years old, and it was because they told me I was going to get 15% off my order. And that was a lot of money. And it still is a lot of money getting 15% off your order of $100, whatever it is. But you know what? That shit haunted me for life because I didn't pay the bill a couple months because I was young and I was stupid. And it just made me insane. So no store credit cards. Okay, so now let's get to the good stuff. And I would just say, a goal. Have a goal. I have goals. I don't usually hit my goals because my goals are big and sometimes they're unattainable, which I also don't recommend because that's just you might as well just be doing something to hurt yourself. I feel like that's masochistic or whatever. But have a goal. Is it a beach house? A regular house? Is it a new coat? Sending your kids to some fancy summer camp, I think that having, is it liposuction? Ooh, my favorite kinds of goals. Have a goal. Okay, apps. Mint.com is the best one. You probably heard of it. Most people have heard of it. It's free. It's a budgeting app. It syncs all of your bank accounts, all your credit cards, your PayPal, all onto this one platform. And it's a budgeting tool, and it just tells you, it tracks your spending. It just tells you how much you're spending here and there and on miscellaneous, and it's really good. And it's free. There's other apps. I personally do not use, I've tried one of them outside of Mint, but these are the apps that I found that I think were really great when I played around with their UX, UI. Oh, that is digital tech speak for user interface and the user experience. Yeah, I know. That's my full-time job. Okay, Clarity Money. Clarity Money is an app that tracks your spending and your subscriptions. This app is also free, so it's free like Mint. Clarity Money. Pocket Guard is another app. That basically gives you guys a snapshot, like it gives their users or you a snapshot on how much we can spend at any given moment. I like that. It's also free. Now you have some other budgeting apps that, look, I don't want to say I don't recommend anything, especially if I haven't used it personally, but like Mint.com is free, okay? Free. And then there's other budgeting apps that you have to pay for. So I'll be careful about that. One of them is Every Dollar. Every Dollar. They basically, their like value prop for their app is like we can make our customers have a budget within the first like 5 or 10 minutes. Like that's great. That's great that you're trying to and it costs, if you want to have be on a plan with them, like a premium plan, $129.99 a year, $130 a year. So let me tell you something on my thought of that. I do not want to pay for an app, a budgeting app, when I know there's free ones that are just as good. That's the first thing. The second thing is Every Dollar sounds great. Like we can make a budget super quick. But you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be making our budget super quick every dollar. Maybe we should spend a little more time on our budgets. You know? I mean, that's my personal philosophy. But those are my recommendations. Mint, Clarity Money, Pocket Guard, Every Dollar. Those are the apps. I like Mint the best. Lots of people have used Mint. But I also really, really like the Excel spreadsheet row. Okay. So here's an idea for a product. You know, every week I talk about products. Sometimes I do beauty dupes. This is a product that I don't really use for its real reasons. So let me tell you what it is. Okay, you know this. Curel body lotion. You know, Curel's been around forever. Curel. It has like that little accent over the L. Like I'm sure there's probably some fancy French Curel. Some fancy pronunciation of it. Curel. The Curel fragrance-free body lotion. It's $8 on Amazon, okay? Let me tell you what I like about this. Here's a trick. You can use it, obviously, as a body lotion, and it's great because it's not greasy, and it soaks up into your hands and your skin, and it's a great thing. You can also use Curel, put it on like your neckline or your wrists or like your arms or your back of your neck. Rub the lotion in, spray your perfume over it, and guess what? Your perfume will last way longer. How crazy is this? This is true. This is like a makeup artist trick in the fashion world. I worked for a few fashion publications a long, long time ago, and this was one of the things that the beauty editors and the fashion editors would do. So basically, you put the lotion on, it absorbs into your skin. It's like opening up your pores a little more. And basically, when you spray the perfume over it, that causes the perfume to break down more slowly, and it sticks around longer. So you smell your perfume for, longer through the night. So like when I go to bed sometimes, I'll put this lotion on, and then I'll put a little spray of perfume on, depending if I have my boyfriend over, and and it's nice. It's nice. I smell like perfume through the night. Better than something else. I mean, right? So that's the trick. Curel fragrance-free body lotion, $8 from Amazon, is my pick of the week for this week. Questions from the audience. So TikTok question came in from one of the girls, and I can relate to this. It's, hi, Elyse. I'm a single mom, and I'm a newly single mom, and I'm trying to date. What do you ask men when you're dating them as a single mom? Okay. Listen. Dating is dating, in my opinion. Dating is dating whether you're regular, without children, whether you have a ton of cats and dogs, or whether you have a ton of children. Dating is dating, and I ask the same normal questions. I want to know about them, what they do for their job, what their religion, their politics, where they grew up, what their favorite foods are, blah blah blah. But when I started dating as a single mom, the questions I thought about, like, what do I really want to know if I'm really going to be sort of like interviewing, air quotes, potential partners, suitors. So the questions that I ask that I recommend are, I would ask, I want to know how close they are with their family. So I'd always ask the guy, like, how close are you with your family? You're close with your mom? Like, I'd want to know, like, oh, so you have two brothers and a sister. Oh, that's so cool. Like, do you guys get along? Like, when's the last time you did something together? I like to know that because, look, I mean, I have daughters, so if I am going to date somebody, I want to make sure that they're, close with their own family and they're a family guy. I also would ask them, how do they feel about commitment? Now, I'm not going to say this on the first, second date like a complete creep. I'm not going to be like, so, date number 2, you interested in commitment? What do you think about that? I would never. But like on the 4th and 5th date, I will say, oh, so what are you looking for? And is commitment scare you, or are you just trying to like be super casual or whatever? I won't say that right in the up top on the first and second date, and the reason why is because I really believe in the air of mystery, So I think that if you're talking about commitment, even asking him the question, I mean, look, guys aren't stupid. If he's asking you, are you interested in what are your feelings on commitment? It's because he wants to. That's on his mind, right? Okay. The other 2 things that I ask is, I ask him, what if he has kids? What is his relationship like with his own kids? But I won't say it like so interviewee-ish. I'll just basically say, oh, you have kids. Oh, so cute. Like, what do you do with them? You guys get along? Like, how is it with the ex? I try to talk around what is your relationship like with your children, but essentially that's what I want to know. And then the last question that I always make sure I was asking when I was dating as a single mother is why did your marriage or your last relationship end? Because here's the thing. I was just telling this to my boyfriend the other day. And he agreed. At first he begged to differ, of course. But then I think he wound up agreeing. But how the guy talks about their ex is so important. Listen, when I was dating these guys, okay, one guy I was dating, this is a true fucking story. You want to hear a true fucking story? I was dating this guy, okay? I went on 2 dates with him. On the second date with him, you know what he says to me? He goes, Elyse, I am so happy that you have, I swear to God, Elyse, I am so happy that you have children. I said, why? He goes, because that means you're not going to be looking to have any more children. And I was like, well, that might not be necessarily true, but okay, cool, whatever. And then I said, but that's so strange, like why? And he goes, because when I was with my ex, when she was pregnant, she was such a fucking psychopath that, I couldn't go through that again with another woman. And, literally, let me tell you, girls, I was done. D-O-N-E, done. I stayed for the rest of the meal because I didn't have an emergency call. I didn't have a friend on hand to bail me out of that nightmare. But I could not believe that he was saying when his ex-wife was pregnant, she was a psychopath. First of all, why don't you fucking carry around a 10-pound bowling ball for 10 months? Oh, yeah, because pregnancy isn't 9 months, guy. It's actually 10 because you're pregnant for 9 whole months, a.k.a. you get to the 10th month. Okay? I was so... I'm seething right now just thinking about it. How they talk about their ex or their last girlfriend or wife is so important to me because if you are also sitting... I said to my boyfriend the other day, I said, look, if you say, well, I was in 10 relationships and all of them were crazy, it's like, oh, really? Were they all crazy? Or was that you? Because you were the common denominator there, buddy. And he's like, I don't think that's true. I'm like, it is fucking true. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. No, yeah, single mom dating is definitely different. I think overall, when I was going out on lots of dates, it was or lots of hideous app dates, I should say. Or I was set up a couple times, is I'm really way more interested in the family and the kids, and then in big decisions that they made in the past and how did they come to those, because that's super important to me. Quote of the day from my idol, the one, the only, Barbra Streisand. Love her. If you haven't seen Funny Girl, by the way, totally recommend that movie. I love it. Anyway, here's the quote. Doubt can motivate you, so don't be afraid of it. Confidence and doubt let me redo this, okay? A little blooper here. Doubt can motivate you, so don't be afraid of it. Confidence and doubt are at 2 ends of the scale, and you need both. They balance each other out. Barbra Streisand. I love that. Because listen, you could be confident to do something, right? And you could maybe achieve it or not achieve it. But even if you have doubt, sometimes you're doubting yourself, but then you almost turn into a game, and then you wind up proving yourself that you can do it. So confidence and doubt at 2 ends of the scale, and you need both. And I love that quote Thank you, Barbara. So that's it for today's episode of the Elyse DeLucci Show. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, you can find me on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. You can leave a review if you want. I read them all, and thank you, by the way. I think I have like 55 reviews on Apple Podcasts, so really thank you. I'm so appreciative. Stay tuned for next week's episode, and you can find me if you want on Instagram at Elyse DeLucci, on TikTok at Elyse DeLucci, or at my website, ElyseDeLucci.com. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.